Hello there, my dear friend. Welcome to this quiet corner of the evening, or perhaps it's the deep of night where you are. I'm so glad you found your way here to this soft space where curiosity meets comfort, where wonder meets rest. As you settle in, perhaps pulling your blanket a little closer, adjusting your pillow just so, I'm curious, where in this beautiful world are you listening from? Are you nestled in a city apartment where the distant hum of traffic creates its own lullaby? Or perhaps you're in a quiet suburb where crickets compose their nightly symphony? Maybe you're somewhere entirely unexpected, on a night shift, taking a gentle break, or even traveling, finding comfort in familiar voices in unfamiliar places. And what time is it where you are? Is it that magical hour when the day's responsibilities have finally released their grip? That precious time when the world seems to slow its spinning just a little, when the space between thoughts grows wider, softer, more forgiving? Perhaps it's that liminal moment between today and tomorrow, when time itself seems to pause and take a breath. I wonder what brought you here tonight. Are you someone who regularly seeks out these quiet moments of learning before sleep? Or did you stumble upon this by happy accident, scrolling through options until something about laughter caught your eye? Either way, I'm delighted you're here, ready to explore one of humanity's most beautiful mysteries together. Tonight, we're going to take a gentle stroll through the enchanting landscape of laughter. We'll wander through the winding paths of why we laugh, what happens in our bodies when joy bubbles up from somewhere deep inside, and how this remarkable ability connects us across time, culture, and circumstance. It's a journey through neuroscience and philosophy, through evolution and emotion, through history and hope, all wrapped in the soft blanket of bedtime contemplation. Before we begin our exploration, if you're enjoying this quiet moment together, perhaps you'd like to leave a gentle thumbs up or subscribe for more of these nighttime wanderings. But only if you feel like it. There's no urgency here, no pressure, everything in its own time. The button will still be there tomorrow, and the next day, waiting patiently whenever you're ready. Now I must offer you a small, playful warning. The science of laughter is absolutely fascinating. There's a chance, just a chance, that you might find yourself too intrigued to drift off right away. Your mind might want to follow each thread, to wonder at each discovery, to marvel at the intricate beauty of human joy. But don't worry. Even if sleep decides to wait a while, at least you'll be learning about something that brings light to the world. And really, isn't that a lovely way to spend the quiet hours? To fill your mind with thoughts of joy and connection as you prepare for dreams? So let's begin, shall we? Let's explore why human beings, and perhaps not only human beings as we'll discover, have developed this remarkable ability to laugh. Let's understand this gift that costs nothing but enriches everything, that weighs nothing but lifts spirits, that takes but a moment but can echo in memory for a lifetime. Imagine, if you will, that you could travel back in time, not just a few decades or centuries, but millions of years. Picture yourself as an invisible observer in a world before cities, before agriculture, before language as we know it. The landscape is different. Familiar continents in unfamiliar configurations, forests where deserts now stand, vast grasslands stretching to horizons unmarked by any human structure. You're watching our ancient ancestors, perhaps around a fire as the day's last light fades from the sky. Much like where you might be right now, though your fire might be electric light, your cave might be drywall and insulation. These early humans, not quite like us but undeniably our kin, are engaged in the timeless ritual of gathering as darkness falls. And then you hear it, a sound that would be instantly recognizable to you across this vast chasm of time. Laughter. Not quite the same as modern laughter, perhaps a bit rougher around the edges, more guttural, more raw, but unmistakably the sound of shared joy. One of them has done something, made a face perhaps, or stumbled in a comic way, or created some prehistoric pratfall, and the others respond with this rhythmic exhalation, this vocal celebration of the moment. You see, laughter is ancient. It predates language, predates civilization, predates so much of what we think makes us human. Scientists believe that laughter evolved somewhere between 10 and 16 million years ago, long before our ancestors were even fully human. Think about that for a moment. Before we could build, before we could write, before we could even speak as we do now, we could laugh. Before we could say that's funny, we could show it. Before we had words for joy, we had the sound of it. This ancestral laughter likely emerged from even older behaviors. Watch young primates at play, and you'll see something remarkable. When chimpanzees tickle each other, they make a rhythmic panting sound. Not quite laughter as we know it, but clearly its ancestor. This proto-laughter serves a vital function. It signals that this is play, not aggression. When one young chimp pounces on another, that panting says, "I'm not really attacking you, this is fun, we're safe." The neuroscientist Robert Provine, who spent decades studying laughter, and what a delightful career that must have been. Imagine introducing yourself at parties. "I'm a professor of laughter," discovered something that challenges our basic assumptions about why we laugh. Through careful observation and recording of thousands of instances of human laughter, he found that laughter isn't primarily about humor. I know. That sounds strange, doesn't it? We think of laughter as our response to funny things, but the data tells a different story. Provine and his team followed people through their daily lives, recording every instance of laughter and what triggered it. What they found was surprising. Less than 20% of laughter followed anything resembling a joke or humorous comment. Instead, most laughter punctuated ordinary conversations, following statements like, "See you later," or "I know what you mean," or "It was nice talking to you." Not exactly comedy gold, is it? But think about the last time you really laughed. Was it at a perfectly crafted joke with a clever punchline? Or was it more likely during a conversation with someone you care about? Perhaps it's something that wouldn't seem funny at all if you tried to explain it later. Those moments when you find yourself saying, "I guess you had to be there," when trying to recreate the humor for someone else? Provine found that we're 30 times more likely to laugh when we're with others than when we're alone. 30 times. Let that sink in for a moment. Even the funniest comedy special, watched in solitude, produces fewer laughs than a moderately amusing conversation with a friend. Even the most hilarious book read in isolation generates less laughter than a simple chat over coffee where nothing particularly funny is said. This suggests something profound. Laughter isn't primarily about humor at all. It's about connection. It's a social signal, a way of synchronizing our emotional states with others, a method of saying we're together in this moment without words. Laughter, it seems, is less about comedy and more about community. Let's take a gentle detour into the brain for a moment. Don't worry, we'll keep the neuroscience as soft as moonlight, as accessible as a bedtime story should be. When you laugh, it's not just one part of your brain lighting up like a single star. Instead, it's more like a constellation coming to life, or perhaps like a city awakening to celebration. The limbic system, that ancient part of the brain we share with many other mammals, orchestrates the emotional components. This is your brain's feeling center, the part that processes joy, fear, anger, and all the rich tapestry of human emotion. When laughter begins, the limbic system sends out signals like a conductor raising a baton, preparing the orchestra for the symphony to come. The motor cortex coordinates the physical movements, the shake of your shoulders, the crinkling around your eyes, the rhythmic contractions of your diaphragm. This is remarkably complex choreography. A genuine laugh involves the precise coordination of 15 facial muscles, along with muscles in your chest, abdomen, arms, and legs. It's a full-body experience masquerading as a simple sound. The prefrontal cortex, our newest evolutionary addition, helps us understand context and social cues. This is the part that determines whether a situation is appropriate for laughter, that helps us distinguish between laughing with someone and laughing at them, that modulates our response based on social circumstances. It's why we might stifle a laugh during a serious meeting but let it flow freely among friends. But here's where it gets really interesting, and I want you to imagine this as vividly as you can. Picture your brain as a vast city at night. Different neighborhoods represent different functions. Memory lane, where your experiences live. Emotion Avenue where feelings flow, Movement Street where physical actions are coordinated, Logic Boulevard where reasoning resides. When you laugh, it's as if someone set off beautiful, harmless fireworks that light up neighborhoods all across the city simultaneously. The visual processing district talks to the emotional quarter, which signals the movement sector, which checks in with the memory burrow. Neural pathways light up like strings of holiday lights, connecting areas that might rarely communicate otherwise. It's a citywide celebration, all happening in milliseconds, faster than conscious thought. And this celebration isn't confined to your brain. Your entire nervous system joins the party. The vagus nerve, that wandering messenger that connects your brain to your heart, lungs, and gut, carries signals of joy throughout your body. Your heart rate increases, but not in the stressed way it might during anxiety. Instead, it's more like the gentle acceleration you feel when you see someone you love walking toward you, when a favorite song comes on the radio, when you smell cookies baking and suddenly you're 5 years old again in your grandmother's kitchen. This whole brain, whole body involvement might explain why laughter feels so good, so complete. It's not just an emotion or just a physical response, it's a full system experience. Every part of you is involved in the act of laughing. From the thoughts that recognize humor, to the muscles that express it, to the chemicals that make it feel so wonderful. Your muscles relax afterward, leaving you feeling loose and comfortable, like you've just had a warm bath or a gentle massage. Studies show that this relaxation effect can last up to 45 minutes after a good laugh. 45 minutes of decreased muscle tension, of physical ease, from something that might have lasted only seconds. What other activity gives such a generous return on such a small investment? And speaking of physical responses, let me share something that might make you smile right now, there in your cozy spot. When you laugh, really laugh, you're giving your body a gentle workout. Researchers call it internal jogging, though that perhaps makes it sound more strenuous than it is. It's more like a massage for your insides, a gentle wake-up call for systems that might have grown sluggish. A good belly laugh exercises your diaphragm, that dome of muscle that separates your chest from your abdomen and powers your breathing. It contracts your abs. Yes, you can literally laugh your way to a stronger core, though I wouldn't recommend canceling your gym membership just yet. It works out your shoulders, your back, even the tiny muscles in your face that might otherwise go days without meaningful movement. William Fry, a psychiatrist who pioneered the study of laughter's physical effects, another wonderful job title, imagine being a pioneer of laughter, found that 20 seconds of good, hearty laughter gives the heart the same workout as 3 minutes of hard rowing. Now, I'm not suggesting you replace your morning jog with a comedy routine, but isn't it lovely to know that joy itself is a form of exercise? But why? Why did evolution gift us with this strange, wonderful behavior? Why do we bare our teeth, which in most animals is a sign of aggression, shake our bodies, and make these odd rhythmic sounds when we're happy? What possible survival advantage could there be in momentarily losing control of our bodies, in making ourselves vulnerable through laughter? The answer, like most beautiful truths, is both simple and complex. Laughter is social glue. In those ancient times we imagined earlier, around those long-ago fires, laughter served as a signal, we're safe here, we're together, we're okay. It was a way of saying, I'm not a threat and you're part of my group all at once, without needing a single word. Think about that for a moment. In a world full of very real dangers, predators with sharp teeth and sharper instincts, rival groups competing for resources, the vast unknown darkness beyond the fire's light, laughter was a way of creating a bubble of safety and belonging. When early humans laughed together, they were essentially saying, this space, this moment, these people, this is home. And this makes evolutionary sense. Humans are not the strongest animals, not the fastest, not the best armed with natural weapons. What we are is social. Our superpower as a species is cooperation, and anything that enhances cooperation enhances survival. Laughter bonds groups together, reduces tensions, signals peaceful intentions. Groups that laughed together would have been more cohesive, more cooperative, more likely to share resources and protection. They would have been, quite simply, more likely to survive and pass on their genes, including the genes that made them prone to laughter. And isn't that still true? When you share a laugh with someone, don't you feel that same ancient comfort? That same sense of, we're in this together? Whether it's a gentle chuckle over morning coffee or uncontrollable giggles with an old friend, laughter still serves its primordial purpose. It connects us. In a world that can often feel isolating, where we can be surrounded by people yet feel alone, laughter builds bridges of connection that span the gaps between souls. Now, let's drift a little deeper into the science, but we'll keep it as gentle as a lullaby, as soothing as rain on a window. When you laugh, your brain becomes a benevolent chemist, a master mixologist creating the perfect cocktail of feel-good substances that would make any pharmacist envious. First, there's dopamine, often called the reward chemical, though that's a bit like calling the ocean wet. It's true, but doesn't capture the full magnificence. Dopamine is more like the brain's way of saying yes. More of this, please. It's the chemical signature of things that are good for us. From the evolutionary basics like food and companionship to the modern joys like solving a puzzle or hearing your favorite song come on the radio unexpectedly. When you laugh, dopamine flows like honey through your neural pathways, coating them with sweetness, making the pathways stronger, more likely to fire again. This is why laughter can be almost addictive in the best possible way. Your brain literally reinforces the neural patterns that led to laughter, making you more likely to find humor in similar situations in the future. But unlike the quick hit you might get from, say, eating chocolate or checking your phone for notifications, laughter-induced dopamine comes with friends. Serotonin joins the party. This is your contentment chemical, the one that helps you feel satisfied and at peace. Low serotonin is associated with depression and anxiety, but laughter naturally boosts its production. It's like your brain's own antidepressant. No prescription needed, no side effects except perhaps sore cheeks from smiling too much. And then there are endorphins. Oh, endorphins. These are your body's natural painkillers, chemically similar to morphine but produced by your own brilliant biology. The word endorphin literally means endogenous morphine, morphine made within. When you have a really good laugh, your body releases these natural opioids, which is why laughter can literally make you feel less pain. There's a beautiful study I'd like to share with you. Conducted at Oxford University, researchers had people watch comedy videos, some alone, some in groups. Then they tested their pain tolerance using, of all things, a blood pressure cuff inflated until it became uncomfortable. I know, not the most pleasant experimental design, but the results were remarkable. Those who had laughed, especially those who had laughed with others, could tolerate significantly more discomfort. The group that laughed together showed the most dramatic increase in pain tolerance, nearly double that of the control group. Laughter had literally made them more resilient to pain, and laughing together had amplified this effect. But perhaps my favorite member of laughter's chemical ensemble is oxytocin. Sometimes called the love hormone or the bonding chemical, oxytocin is what flows when mothers nurse their babies, when lovers gaze into each other's eyes, when you pet a dog and somehow feel like you've known each other forever. It's the chemical of connection, of trust, of that warm feeling you get when you're with someone who truly sees you. And yes, when you share a genuine laugh with someone, oxytocin flows like a river of liquid trust between you. This isn't metaphorical, it's measurably, scientifically real. Your brains are literally, chemically, becoming more attuned to each other. You're creating bonds at a molecular level, writing your connection in the very chemistry of your bodies. Is it any wonder that we often fall in love with people who make us laugh? That shared humor is the bedrock of so many lasting friendships. When someone makes you laugh, they're not just amusing you, they're creating a chemical environment in your brain that associates them with pleasure, trust, and connection. They're literally becoming part of your body's happy place. There's something almost magical about this, isn't there? that our bodies have evolved to reward us so richly for something as simple as laughter. It's as if nature is constantly encouraging us to find joy, to share it, to build connections through it. In a world that often rewards competition and individual achievement, our biology whispers a different truth. We are built for connection, wired for joy, designed to laugh together. As you lie there in the quiet of your room, perhaps feeling the gentle weight of approaching sleep, I want you to think about the different types of laughter you know, not just from your own experience, but from observation, from memory, from the vast catalog of human expression you've witnessed throughout your life. Each type of laughter is like a different instrument in an orchestra, each with its own tone, its own purpose, its own beauty. There's the gentle chuckle, isn't there? That soft acknowledgement of mild amusement, like a smile that couldn't quite contain itself. It's the laugh you might give while reading a clever turn of phrase, perhaps right now as you listen to these words, or while remembering a fond, slightly silly memory. Maybe that time you walked into a glass door you didn't see, or when your pet did something endearingly ridiculous. This is comfort laughter, as easy and natural as breathing, requiring no more effort than a sigh. The chuckle often comes when we're alone, a private moment of amusement that we gift to ourselves. It's the laugh of recognition when we see ourselves in a comic strip, the gentle appreciation of wordplay that's clever but not quite hilarious. It's laughter at its most civilized, most controlled, yet still genuine in its quiet way. Then there's the sudden bark of surprised laughter, that involuntary ha that escapes when something catches you completely off guard. It's almost more exclamation than laugh, a physical punctuation mark that says, "I did not see that coming." This is your brain's delighted response to the unexpected, to the delightful disruption of patterns. This surprised laugh is often the loudest, the most explosive. It's the laugh that might make others turn to look, wondering what caused such an outburst. It can't be faked, can't be forced. It's as involuntary as a sneeze, as genuine as a reaction can be. Your conscious mind doesn't even have time to get involved before the laugh has already escaped, surprising you as much as whatever triggered it. Consider the giggle, that bubbling, effervescent sound that seems to come from somewhere near your solar plexus, rising up like champagne bubbles through your chest. Giggles are contagious in the way that yawns are contagious, but so much more joyful. One person's giggle can set off a chain reaction, each person's mirth feeding the others until everyone is giggling about the giggling itself. There's something wonderfully recursive about giggling, laughing about laughing about laughing, a joyful feedback loop that can go on and on. Children are masters of this, able to sustain giggle fits that seem to feed on themselves, needing no external fuel beyond the sheer joy of giggling together. Adults sometimes lose this ability, becoming too self-conscious, too aware of how they look or sound. But catch adults in the right moment, perhaps late at night when defenses are down or in that punch-drunk state of exhaustion, and the giggles can return in full force. And then there's the snort. Ah, the snort. That involuntary nasal explosion that happens when laughter catches us so off guard that normal channels can't contain it. Many people are embarrassed by their snort laugh, try to suppress it, apologize for it, but I think the snort is beautiful in its way. It's laughter so genuine, so overwhelming, that it has to find new paths of expression. It's your body saying, "This joy is too big for just my mouth to handle." Let's not forget the silent laugh, that breathless state where you're laughing so hard no sound comes out. Your mouth is open, your shoulders are shaking, tears might be streaming down your face, but it's as if the laughter is too intense for sound. This is laughter at its most physically overwhelming, when your whole body is so involved in the act of laughing that there's no energy left for vocalization. And then there's the full belly laugh, the kind that takes over your whole body like a benevolent possession. Your eyes water, your stomach muscles ache, you can barely breathe, and you don't care one bit. This is laughter as a force of nature, as overwhelming as a wave, as unstoppable as an avalanche of joy. The Greeks had a god of laughter, Gelos. And when you're in the grip of a real belly laugh, you can understand why laughter might need its own deity. It's that powerful, that overwhelming, that beyond human control. In those moments you're not choosing to laugh. Laughter is happening to you, through you, despite you. But not all laughter is created equal, and this is where our exploration takes a more nuanced turn. Researchers have identified dozens of different types of laughter, each with its own acoustic signature, its own social function, its own neurological pattern. It's like discovering that what we thought was one instrument is actually an entire orchestra. There's nervous laughter, that slightly higher-pitched, more forced sound we make when we're uncomfortable. It's laughter as social lubricant, as a way of saying, I'm not sure what to do with this moment, but I'm trying to keep things light. We've all been there, haven't we? In an awkward pause at a party, after someone tells a joke that doesn't quite land, in those moments when social scripts fail us and we reach for laughter as a life preserver. Nervous laughter serves a purpose, even if it feels uncomfortable. It fills silence. It signals non-aggression. It buys time for our social processing to catch up with the situation. It's not fake exactly. It's a genuine response to social discomfort, a way of managing anxiety through vocalization. There's polite laughter too, the kind you might give to your boss's mildly amusing anecdote or your grandmother's oft-told story. This isn't false exactly, but it's laughter as social grace, as a way of saying, I appreciate your effort to connect. It's quieter, more controlled, more conscious than spontaneous laughter. We often undervalue polite laughter, seeing it as somehow less than genuine mirth. But polite laughter is a gift we give each other, a social courtesy as important as saying please and thank you. It acknowledges effort, validates attempts at humor, maintains social bonds, even when genuine amusement is absent. It's the WD-40% of social interaction, keeping things running smoothly. And then there's what researchers call Duchenne laughter, named after Guillaume Duchenne, the 19th century French neurologist who first described it. This is the real deal, the genuine article, the gold standard of laughter. Duchenne laughter involves not just the mouth but the eyes. It's what creates those lovely crow's feet, those crinkles that say this joy is real. Duchenne spent years studying facial expressions, using electrical probes. This was the 1860s after all, to stimulate different facial muscles and map their movements. He discovered that genuine smiles and laughter involve muscles around the eyes, the orbicularis oculi, that are difficult to consciously control. You can't fake Duchenne laughter, not really. Your mouth might go through the motions, but your eyes will tell the truth. Here's something fascinating. We're incredibly good at telling the difference between genuine and social laughter. In studies where people listen to recordings of different types of laughter, they can identify real laughter with remarkable accuracy. Around 70% of the time, even across cultures and languages, a genuine laugh from someone in Papua New Guinea is recognizable as such to someone in Paris or Peoria. The authenticity of joy transcends linguistic and cultural boundaries. This ability to distinguish real from social laughter isn't just a party trick. It's a crucial social skill that helps us navigate the complex world of human relationships. When someone gives us genuine laughter, we unconsciously recognize it as a gift, a moment of real connection, a dropping of social masks. It's intimacy expressed in sound. Think about how this plays out in your daily life. When you tell a story and get polite laughter, you might feel acknowledged but not truly connected. But when you trigger genuine laughter, when you see those eye crinkles, hear that uncontrolled joy, you feel something deeper. You've created a moment of real human connection. Bridge the gap between separate beings, if only for an instant. Now, let's wander into slightly different territory. We've been talking about laughter, but what about humor? Its frequent but not constant companion. What makes something funny? Why do we find certain things amusing and others not? This is where we enter the realm of the gloriously subjective, the wonderfully personal, the delightfully unpredictable. Humor is perhaps even more mysterious than laughter itself. At least with laughter, we can measure muscle movements, map brain activity, analyze acoustic patterns. But humor? Humor is quicksilver, impossible to pin down, changing shape the moment you think you've grasped it. What makes you laugh might leave me cold, and what I find hilarious might not even make you smile. And yet, there are patterns, theories, attempts to decode the DNA of funny. Philosophers and scientists have been trying to understand humor for millennia. And while we don't have all the answers, we've learned some fascinating things about how humor works. One of the oldest theories is the incongruity theory, first proposed by philosophers like Kant and Schopenhauer. Simply put, we laugh when our expectations are violated in a safe, surprising way. It's the twist in the joke, the unexpected turn in the story, the moment when our brain says, "Wait, that's not what I thought was coming," and responds with delight rather than alarm. Think of it like this. Your brain is constantly making predictions. Every moment of every day, it's using past experience to guess what's coming next. When you walk, your brain predicts where the floor will be. When someone starts a sentence, your brain is already guessing how it might end. This predictive processing is how we navigate the world efficiently. We don't have to consciously process every bit of information because our brain is always working ahead, filling in the blanks. Humor often works by setting up a prediction and then violating it in a benign way. The classic example, "I haven't spoken to my wife in years," says the comedian, and your brain starts predicting reasons. They're divorced, they're estranged, something tragic. Then comes the punchline, "I don't want to interrupt her." The prediction is violated, but safely, cleverly. Your brain rewards this benign violation with laughter. But incongruity alone doesn't explain everything. After all, there are plenty of incongruous things that aren't funny. A car accident is unexpected. A suddenly collapsing chair violates predictions. But these aren't amusing unless you're watching a slapstick comedy where context makes them safe. There has to be something more. This brings us to the benign violation theory, proposed by researchers Peter McGraw and Caleb Warren at the University of Colorado. For something to be funny, they suggest, it needs to be both a violation of expectations, of norms, of logic, and benign, safe, acceptable, non-threatening. It's the sweet spot between surprising and safe, between wrong and okay. Think about tickling, that primal form of humor that makes children laugh uncontrollably. Tickling is a violation. Someone is invading your personal space, touching you in a way that borders on uncomfortable. But when it's done by someone you trust, in a playful context, it's also benign. It's a safe attack, a loving invasion. No wonder children often laugh and say stop. At the same time, they're experiencing the perfect balance of violation and safety. This might explain why comedy is so culturally specific, why jokes don't always translate. What counts as a violation in one culture might be normal in another. What feels benign to one generation might feel threatening to another. Humor exists in this constantly shifting space between what we expect and what surprises us, between what unsettles us and what we can accept. But there's another dimension to humor that goes beyond surprise and safety. Sometimes we laugh not because something violates our expectations, but because it confirms them in an exaggerated way. This is the humor of recognition, the "it's funny because it's true" phenomenon. When a comedian describes the universal experience of pretending to look for something in the refrigerator while actually just standing in the cool air trying to figure out what you want from life, that's recognition humor. It's not surprising. In fact, it's the opposite. It's the delight of having someone articulate something you've experienced but never quite put into words. It's the joy of feeling less alone in your quirks and foibles. This type of humor creates a different kind of connection. Instead of bonding over the unexpected, we bond over the shared. It's like finding out that someone else also talks to their plants, or rehearses conversations in the shower, or has a specific way of eating Oreos that they thought was unique to them. The laughter comes not from surprise, but from solidarity. There's also the humor of exaggeration, where we take a truth and stretch it to absurd proportions. When someone says, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse," or "this bag weighs a ton," or "I've told you 1,000,000 times," we understand that the literal meaning is false, but the emotional truth is real. The exaggeration makes the feeling more vivid, more relatable, more amusing. And then there's wordplay, puns, double meanings, clever turns of phrase. This is humor for the language centers of our brains. Jokes that work only because of the specific properties of words. Time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. The humor comes from the shift in meaning, the way our brain has to quickly readjust its parsing of the sentence. Some people groan at puns, calling them the lowest form of humor. But I think there's something beautiful about wordplay. It celebrates the flexibility of language, the multiple meanings we can pack into sounds. The way communication itself is a kind of miracle that we perform every day without thinking about it. Physical comedy, slapstick, pratfalls, exaggerated movements taps into something even more primitive than wordplay. It's humor that works across language barriers, that young children understand before they can speak, that even some animals seem to appreciate. There's something universally funny about someone slipping on a banana peel as long as they're not hurt, about exaggerated facial expressions, about the contrast between intention and outcome. This might be the oldest form of humor, predating language, predating perhaps even fully human consciousness. It's the humor of the body, of physics gone slightly wrong, of dignity temporarily suspended. It reminds us that we're physical beings in a physical world, subject to gravity and momentum and the occasional rebellion of inanimate objects. Let me tell you about Norman Cousins. In 1964, this American journalist was diagnosed with a crippling disease, ankylosing spondylitis, a painful condition that causes the vertebrae in the spine to fuse together. The pain was excruciating. Movement was becoming impossible. His doctors gave him a 1 in 500 chance of recovery. For most people, this would be a death sentence, or at least a life sentence of pain and immobility. But Cousins had a theory. He had been reading about the effects of stress on the body, about how negative emotions could suppress the immune system and worsen physical ailments. And he thought, if negative emotions can harm the body, might positive emotions help heal it? It was a radical idea at the time, the notion that laughter could be medicine, that joy could be therapeutic. With his doctor's bewildered permission, and really, what did he have to lose? Cousins checked himself out of the hospital and into a hotel room. The hospital, he reasoned, was no place for healing. It was full of sounds and smells of sickness, of beeping machines and worried faces. He needed a space for joy. He hired a nurse and procured a movie projector and a stack of comedy films. Marx Brothers movies, candid camera episodes, Charlie Chaplin, anything that made him laugh. And he set about the strange business of laughing his way back to health. And he laughed. Oh, how he laughed. He found that 10 minutes of genuine belly laughter gave him 2 hours of pain-free sleep. No small thing when pain has been your constant companion, when every position is agony, when sleep seems as distant as the moon. But more than that, his condition began to improve. His inflammation markers, the blood tests that showed how severe his condition was, began to drop. His SED rate, a measure of inflammation, fell from 112 to 15. His movement, which had been becoming more restricted each day, began to return. Against all odds, against all medical expectations, Norman Cousins was laughing his way back to health. Now, I want to be clear here, in this quiet moment we're sharing. Laughter isn't a magic cure-all. It can't replace medicine or medical care. Cousins wasn't rejecting modern medicine. He was augmenting it with joy. But his experience, which he wrote about in his book Anatomy of an Illness, sparked decades of research into laughter's therapeutic effects. And what researchers found was remarkable. Laughter does indeed reduce inflammation in the body. When we laugh, our bodies produce fewer inflammatory cytokines, those chemical messengers that, in excess, contribute to everything from arthritis to heart disease. At the same time, laughter boosts the production of anti-inflammatory compounds. It's like giving your immune system a tune-up, helping it find the right balance between protecting you and not overreacting. It boosts immune function in other ways too, increasing the production of antibodies, those Y-shaped proteins that recognize and neutralize threats. It activates T lymphocytes, the white blood cells that are like your body's special forces, trained to identify and eliminate dangers. Natural killer cells, despite their alarming name, these are the good guys. Cells that patrol your body looking for cancerous or infected cells to destroy, become more active and more numerous after laughter. Laughter improves blood flow, with the physical act of laughing providing a workout for your cardiovascular system. When you laugh, your blood vessels dilate, improving circulation. The endothelium, the inner lining of your blood vessels, functions better after laughter. This is the same effect you get from aerobic exercise, but achieved through joy rather than exertion. William Fry, whom I mentioned earlier, found that laughter temporarily increases heart rate and blood pressure, followed by a period of muscle relaxation and decreased blood pressure. It's like interval training for your cardiovascular system, but fun. He called it internal jogging, and while that might overstate things a bit, the cardiovascular benefits are real and measurable. In Japan, there's been a lovely study with patients undergoing dialysis, a necessary but often unpleasant medical procedure where machines filter waste from the blood when kidneys can't. Dialysis patients often suffer from depression, fatigue, and a host of complications. It's a difficult life, tethered to machines, aware that your body can't perform a basic function that most people never think about. Researchers had some patients watch comedy shows during their treatment. These patients not only reported feeling better emotionally, which you might expect, but showed improved medical outcomes. Their blood pressure was better controlled. They had fewer complications. They required fewer medications. They even lived longer, on average, than the control group. Think about that for a moment. Something as simple, as free, as universally available as laughter having measurable effects on longevity. It seems almost too good to be true, like something from a fairy tale where laughter is literally the best medicine. But the science is solid, peer-reviewed, replicated across multiple studies and populations. There's even a field called gelotology, from the Greek gelos, meaning laughter, the study of laughter and its effects on the body. Gelotologists, what a delightful job title, imagine the business cards, have found that laughter can help with everything from chronic pain to diabetes management to improving the function of blood vessels. Lee Burke, a researcher at Loma Linda University, has spent decades studying what he calls mirthful laughter, the kind of deep, genuine laughter that comes from real amusement. He's found that laughter affects the body in ways remarkably similar to moderate exercise. It enhances mood, decreases stress hormones, enhances immune activity, and lowers bad cholesterol and systolic blood pressure. In one of his studies, Burke had heart attack patients watch comedies for 30 minutes a day. After a year, these patients had lower blood pressure, required less medication, and had fewer repeat heart attacks compared to a control group that received standard care without the comedy prescription. Imagine that, a prescription for laughter, as important as any pill. But perhaps the most profound medical effect of laughter is on stress. Chronic stress, as you may know, is a slow-motion disaster for human health. It suppresses immune function, increases inflammation, disrupts sleep, and contributes to everything from heart disease to depression. In our modern world, where stressors are more psychological than physical, where we can't fight or flee from traffic jams and work deadlines, chronic stress has become a silent epidemic. Stress hormones like cortisol are necessary in acute situations. They help us respond to real threats, giving us the energy and focus to deal with danger. But when they're chronically elevated, when our bodies are constantly in a state of alert, these same hormones become toxic. They break down muscle tissue, interfere with memory formation, suppress reproductive function, and accelerate aging. Laughter is like stress's natural antidote. When you laugh, cortisol levels drop, not just a little, significantly. One study found that watching a funny video reduced cortisol levels by 39%. Another found that even anticipating laughter, knowing you're about to watch something funny, starts to reduce stress hormones. Your body shifts from a state of threat detection to a state of safety and connection. The same system that would prepare you to fight or flee instead prepares you to bond and heal. It's like switching from an alarm system to a welcome mat, from defense to openness. There's something profound about this, isn't there? That in a world full of stressors we can't always control, work pressures, global events, personal challenges, we have this built-in pressure release valve. We carry within us the ability to shift our internal chemistry through something as simple as finding something funny. It's like discovering you've had a superpower all along, hidden in plain sight. As you rest there in the darkness, perhaps beginning to feel that gentle tug of approaching sleep, I want to paint you a picture of laughter as architecture, as the invisible structure that holds our social world together. Think of the last really good conversation you had. Not necessarily the deepest or most meaningful, though it might have been, but one that flowed easily, that left you feeling energized and connected. Chances are, laughter punctuated that conversation like gentle percussion, keeping the rhythm, marking the moments of connection. Conversation analysts? Yes, that's a real field, and what a fascinating one it is. Study the intricate dance of human dialogue. They record conversations, transcribe them in minute detail, analyze the pauses, the overlaps, the precisely timed choreography of human interaction. And they've discovered that laughter in conversation rarely happens at random. It has preferred positions, like punctuation marks in the spoken world. Most commonly, laughter occurs at the end of phrases or sentences, serving as a kind of social period or exclamation point. So I went to the store, laugh. You know what I mean, laugh. It was incredible laugh. The laughter serves multiple functions. It signals the end of a thought, invites response, maintains connection, fills what might otherwise be silence. But here's where it gets really interesting. The speaker is more likely to laugh than the listener. This seems backwards at first, doesn't it? We think of laughter as a response to humor. So shouldn't the person hearing the funny thing be the one laughing? But remember, laughter is older than humor, older than jokes. The speaker's laughter is often an invitation, a signal that says, this is play, this is safe, you can relax. When someone laughs after their own statement, they're not being egotistical or laughing at their own jokes. They're engaging in an ancient social ritual, creating space for connection, lowering the social stakes. Their laughter says, I'm not taking myself too seriously here, and neither should you. And when laughter is shared, when speaker and listener laugh together, something almost magical happens. Their brains begin to synchronize. Using advanced imaging techniques like fMRI and EEG, researchers have found that during shared laughter, the neural activity of different people begins to mirror each other. It's as if laughter creates a temporary neural network between individuals, a momentary melding of minds. This isn't just metaphorical. When people laugh together, their brainwaves literally begin to align. The same regions activate at the same time. Their neural oscillations, the rhythmic patterns of electrical activity in the brain, fall into sync. For those moments of shared laughter, two separate brains become parts of a single system. This synchronization goes beyond just brainwaves. People who laugh together begin to breathe in rhythm. Their heart rates align. Their muscle tension matches. Even their body movements begin to mirror each other. Watch a group sharing a good laugh, and you'll see them sway and gesture in unconscious harmony. For those moments of shared laughter, two or more separate organisms become a single system, unified by joy. Is it any wonder that laughter is such a powerful tool for connection? Think about how we use phrases like we really clicked or we're on the same wavelength to describe social connection. These aren't just metaphors. During laughter, we literally are on the same wavelength, our brains oscillating in harmony like tuning forks that have found the same frequency. This might explain why laughter is so important in romantic relationships. Studies consistently show that couples who laugh together report higher satisfaction, better conflict resolution, and longer-lasting relationships. It's not just that happy couples laugh more, though they do. It's that laughing together creates happiness. builds resilience, strengthens the bond at a neurological level. There's a beautiful study where researchers had couples discuss a source of stress in their relationship while being video recorded. Some couples naturally used laughter during these difficult conversations. Not dismissive laughter or nervous giggling, but genuine shared moments of finding humor even in challenge. These couples not only reported feeling better after the conversation, but showed lower stress hormones and were more likely to still be together years later. Think about what's happening there. In the midst of conflict, of discussing something that could drive them apart, these couples found moments of shared joy. Their laughter said, "Yes, this is hard, but we're bigger than this problem." It maintained connection even during disconnection, found light even in darkness. It's a way of remembering, even in difficult moments, that this is a person you can laugh with, and that matters more than whatever you're arguing about. Laughter in relationships serves as a kind of emotional reset button. When tensions rise, when misunderstandings accumulate, when the small irritations of daily life threaten to overshadow affection, shared laughter can sweep it all away, if only for a moment. It reminds couples of why they chose each other, of the joy they can create together. But laughter's social architecture extends far beyond romantic relationships. In friendships, laughter serves as both builder and maintainer of bonds. Think about your closest friends. Chances are, they're people you can laugh with easily, people who get your humor, who can make you laugh even when you don't feel like it. There's actually a neurological basis for the phrase infectious laughter. Mirror neurons, specialized cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we see someone else perform that action, respond strongly to laughter. When you hear someone laugh, your mirror neurons activate as if you were laughing yourself. Your brain is literally trying on the laughter, seeing how it fits. This is why laughter is so contagious, why one person's giggle can set off a whole room. Your brain is wired to join in, to mirror the joy it perceives. It's an automatic empathy response, a neurological pressure to join the group in this ancient bonding behavior. In workplace settings, laughter serves crucial functions that go far beyond making the day more pleasant. Teams that laugh together show better communication, more creativity, and higher productivity. When people share humor at work, they're more likely to share ideas, more willing to take creative risks, more able to bounce back from setbacks. There's a fascinating study from MIT where researchers equipped teams with sociometric badges, devices that tracked communication patterns, body language, and vocal characteristics. They found that the teams that performed best had higher levels of what they called buzz, energetic communication that included frequent laughter. Laughter wasn't a distraction from work. It was a sign of the kind of dynamic interaction that produces the best results. Now, let's take a gentle journey around the world, exploring how different cultures laugh, what makes them laugh, and what laughter means in different contexts. Close your eyes if you'd like and imagine yourself as a kind of anthropologist of joy, traveling from place to place, listening to the sound of human happiness. In Japan, there's a beautiful phenomenon called warai, laughter that serves to maintain social harmony. Japanese laughter often functions differently than Western laughter. It can express embarrassment, humility, or social discomfort as much as amusement. There's even a specific kind of laughter called iso warai, diplomatic laughter that helps navigate complex social situations without direct confrontation. This might sound like fake laughter to Western ears, but it's not. It's laughter serving a different but equally important social function, maintaining gabue or harmony. In a culture that values group cohesion and indirect communication, laughter becomes a sophisticated tool for managing social dynamics. It's laughter as social grace, as consideration for others, as a way of acknowledging tension while diffusing it. Travel to West Africa and you'll find rich traditions of joking relationships, formalized social bonds where people are not just allowed, but expected to tease each other. Among the Wolof people of Senegal, for instance, Certain ethnic groups have traditional joking relationships called kal that turn potential conflict into connection through humor. If you're a Diola and you meet a Serer, tradition not only allows but requires you to engage in playful insults, to mock each other's ethnic stereotypes, to laugh together at the differences between your groups. What could be a source of tension becomes a source of connection. It's laughter as peacekeeping, as a way of acknowledging difference while celebrating common humanity. These joking relationships often date back centuries, sometimes originating from historical conflicts that were resolved through alliance. The laughter serves as a living reminder of peace, a way of saying our ancestors may have fought, but we choose joy. It's conflict resolution encoded in cultural DNA, passed down through generations in the form of jokes and laughter. In the Buddhist tradition, there's the laughing Buddha, Budai or Hotei in Chinese and Japanese Buddhism respectively, whose large belly and constant laughter represent abundance and contentment. But there's also the more subtle appreciation of laughter in Zen, where humor can be a path to enlightenment. Zen koans often use humor to break through conventional thinking. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Isn't meant to be answered logically. It's meant to short-circuit logic, to create a gap in normal thinking where insight can enter. The sudden laugh of understanding when a koan clicks, the gentle amusement at the cosmic joke of existence. These are laughter as spiritual practice, as a way of glimpsing the absurdity and beauty of being. The Native American Hopi tradition includes sacred clowns, kosher and koyemshi, figures who are allowed to break normal social rules, to mock even the most serious ceremonies. During religious rituals, these clowns might imitate participants, exaggerate sacred gestures, or behave in ways that would normally be taboo, but their laughter-inducing antics serve a profound purpose. They remind everyone that nothing is so sacred it can't benefit from perspective, that laughter keeps us humble, human, whole. They're living reminders that the sacred and the silly can coexist, that reverence and irreverence are both necessary for spiritual balance. The clowns teach through laughter what sermons might struggle to convey, that taking ourselves too seriously is its own form of blindness. Travel to the medical schools of India, and you might find students of Hasya Yoga, laughter yoga, developed by Dr. Madan Kataria in Mumbai in 1995. This practice involves deliberate, purposeful laughter without relying on humor or jokes. It sounds strange at first, fake laughter as exercise, but there's profound wisdom in the practice. Practitioners gather in parks. There are now thousands of laughter clubs worldwide and engage in laughter exercises. They might start with gentle warm-ups, stretching and breathing, then move into different types of laughter, greeting laughter, where participants shake hands and laugh, silent laughter, where they laugh without sound, lion laughter, with tongues out and hands clawed, gradient laughter, starting soft and building to crescendo. What's remarkable is that the laughter, forced at first, often becomes genuine as the contagious nature of laughter takes over. The body doesn't distinguish between real and fake laughter. The physical benefits are the same. And in a group setting, the artificial boundaries between voluntary and involuntary laughter quickly dissolve. It's laughter as meditation, as exercise, as community building, all at once. In parts of Tanzania and Uganda, there's a phenomenon that demonstrates the incredible power of contagious laughter. In 1962, in a girls' boarding school in Tanganyika, now Tanzania, 3 students began laughing and couldn't stop. The laughter spread to 95 of the 159 students, causing the school to close. When it reopened, the laughter epidemic spread to other schools and villages, ultimately affecting over 1,000 people and lasting for months. This wasn't mass hysteria or a psychological disorder. It was an extreme example of laughter's contagious nature combined with stress and social dynamics. The students were under pressure, away from home, navigating adolescence in a boarding school environment. The laughter became a physical expression of psychological tension, spreading through social networks like a benign virus of emotion. What's remarkable about all these different cultural approaches to laughter is how they all recognize its power while channeling it in culturally specific ways. Laughter is universal. Every culture laughs. Every baby learns to laugh without being taught. But how we laugh, when we laugh, what we laugh about, these are deeply cultural, learned, passed down like recipes or stories. And yet, despite these differences, there's something immediately recognizable about genuine laughter across all cultures. Play recordings of real laughter from anywhere in the world, and listeners everywhere can identify it as such. The sound of human joy transcends language barriers more effectively than any translator. There's a beautiful story from the 1960s. During the height of the Cold War, American and Soviet scientists, officially enemies, found themselves at an international conference in Antarctica. Language was a barrier, politics was a minefield, trust was almost impossible. But somehow, over drinks and increasingly silly attempts at communication, they began to laugh. One scientist, trying to explain something about penguin behavior, began waddling around the room, flapping his arms. Another joined in, adding exaggerated sound effects. Soon the whole group was laughing, barriers crumbling, humanity emerging. And in that laughter, for those moments, there were no Americans or Soviets, just humans, finding joy in their shared ridiculousness, in the absurdity of trying to maintain enmity while imitating penguins together. As we near the end of our journey tonight, let's think forward into the future of laughter. It might seem odd to think of laughter as having a future. After all, it's millions of years old. But as our world changes, so too does the context for our laughter, the ways we share it, the forms it takes. We live in an age of digital communication, where so much of our interaction happens through screens. We've had to invent new ways to indicate laughter. LOL, Roffle, haha, hehe. Even the dreaded LOL that often means anything but actual laughter. It's a curious thing, isn't it? We've created symbolic representations of a physical, auditory experience. It's like trying to describe the taste of chocolate using only numbers, or the feeling of sunshine using only words. But these digital translations of laughter serve important functions. They maintain the social architecture of conversation even in text. A well-placed LOL can soften a statement, signal playfulness, indicate that we're not taking ourselves too seriously. It's the digital equivalent of the speaker's laughter we talked about earlier, creating safety, inviting connection, yet something is lost in translation. The acoustic richness of laughter, with all its information about genuineness and emotion, can't be captured in 3 letters. The physical synchrony of shared laughter can't happen through a screen. We're finding ways to maintain laughter's social functions in digital spaces, but the full experience remains stubbornly analog. Technology isn't just changing how we represent laughter, it's changing how we experience it. Virtual reality researchers are working on ways to make digital laughter feel more real, more present. Imagine putting on a headset and feeling like you're really in the same room with faraway loved ones, sharing genuine laughter that bridges physical distance. There are already experiments with haptic feedback, devices that let you feel someone's laughter through vibrations, biosensor technology that can detect genuine laughter and transmit that information along with digital communication, AI systems learning to recognize different types of laughter and respond appropriately. We're trying to technologize one of our most ancient behaviors, with mixed results. But perhaps the most interesting developments are in how we're applying our understanding of laughter to healing and health. Hospitals are increasingly incorporating humor therapy into treatment plans. Some cancer centers have laughter clubs. Psychiatric facilities use comedy workshops. Pediatric wards employ clowns not just for entertainment, but as part of the therapeutic team. It's the continuation of what Norman Cousins discovered decades ago, but with more science, more intention, more understanding of exactly how and why laughter helps. We're learning to prescribe laughter with the same precision we prescribe medication, understanding dosage and timing and individual variation. There's research into using laughter as a diagnostic tool. The way someone laughs, or doesn't laugh, can provide information about neurological health, social functioning, emotional state. Changes in laughter patterns might signal the onset of conditions like Parkinson's or dementia before other symptoms appear. It's like laughter as a window into overall health, a canary in the coal mine of well-being. We're also learning more about when laughter doesn't help, when it can even harm. Researchers are studying the dark side of laughter: cruel laughter, exclusionary laughter, laughter used as a weapon rather than a bridge. Understanding these shadow aspects helps us use laughter more consciously, more kindly, more effectively. There's fascinating research into gelatophobia, the fear of being laughed at. For some people, the sound of laughter triggers anxiety rather than joy, social withdrawal rather than connection. Understanding this helps us be more mindful about how our laughter might be received, more conscious of creating inclusive rather than exclusive joy. In our polarized world, some researchers are exploring laughter as a tool for bridging divides. Can shared laughter help people with opposing political views find common ground? Early studies suggest yes. When people laugh together first, they're more likely to listen to each other afterward, more likely to see each other as fully human rather than as stereotypes. There are workshops now that bring together people from opposite sides of conflicts, political, religious, ethnic, and start with laughter exercises before moving to dialogue. The shared laughter creates a foundation of common humanity that makes difficult conversations possible. It's like laughter as a diplomatic tool, as a reminder that we're all human before we're anything else. There's even research into the laughter of other species. We've long known that rats laugh when tickled at ultrasonic frequencies we can't hear, that dogs have a kind of laughter pant they use during play. But new research suggests laughter might be more widespread in the animal kingdom than we ever imagined. Dolphins appear to have signature whistles that function like laughter during play. Ravens make specific calls during playful aerial acrobatics that might be avian laughter. Even fish, some species make staccato sounds during courtship that researchers are beginning to think might be piscine giggles. Octopi, those alien intelligences of the sea, show color patterns during play that might be visual laughter. What does it mean that laughter might not be uniquely human after all? Perhaps it connects us not just to each other, but to the broader community of conscious creatures sharing this planet. Perhaps laughter is older, deeper, more fundamental than we ever imagined, not just a product of human evolution, but a basic feature of conscious experience, a way that awareness celebrates itself. And there's the ongoing mystery of consciousness itself. What is it about certain patterns of thought that trigger the physical response of laughter? How does an abstract idea become a full-body experience? Why did consciousness evolve the capacity to find things funny? These questions touch on the deepest mysteries of what it means to be aware, to be alive, to experience joy. Some researchers suggest that humor and laughter might have been crucial in the evolution of consciousness itself. The ability to recognize incongruity, to appreciate absurdity, to find joy in the unexpected, these require sophisticated cognitive abilities. Perhaps laughter didn't just evolve from consciousness, perhaps it helped create it. And now, my dear friend, as our journey together draws to a close, let's return to where we began. You there in your particular corner of the world at your particular moment in time. Has the hour grown later while we've been exploring? Has the darkness deepened, or perhaps, if you're in one of those places where the sun never quite sets in summer, has the light simply shifted, grown more golden? I find myself wondering if, during our time together, you found yourself smiling, maybe even laughing quietly there in the dark. Perhaps at the image of those Soviet and American scientists bridging the Cold War with penguin impressions. Perhaps at the thought of rats laughing at frequencies we can't hear, or fish giggling during courtship, or the profound absurdity of putting electrical probes on faces in the 1860s to understand smiling. Or perhaps you've smiled at memories our exploration has awakened. That friend who can always make you laugh, even at the worst times. That moment when your child discovered their own ability to create laughter. That perfect joke at the perfect moment that dissolved tension and restored connection. Those precious people in your life who get your particular brand of humor, who can make you laugh until you cry, who've shared so many moments of joy that just thinking of them brings a smile. We've traveled far tonight, haven't we? From ancient fires where our ancestors first laughed together, to modern laboratories where scientists map the neural networks of joy. We've explored laughter as chemistry and culture, as medicine and music, as the thread that weaves through all human experience, binding us together across time and space and difference. We've discovered that laughter is far more than just a response to humor. It's a complex behavior that involves our entire being, brain and body, individual and group, evolution and culture. It's a tool for survival that became a gateway to thriving. It's a simple sound that carries profound meaning. And through it all, one truth emerges again and again. Laughter is connection. It's our birthright as social creatures, our tool for building bridges where logic fails, our medicine for healing what hurts, our celebration of what delights. In a universe that can often seem cold and vast and indifferent, laughter is our way of creating warmth, intimacy, meaning. Every time you laugh, whether it's a quiet chuckle at a remembered joke or a full-bodied celebration of joy, you're participating in something ancient and essential. You're adding your voice to a conversation that's been going on for millions of years and will continue long after we're gone. You're claiming your place in the great human chorus of joy, contributing to the ongoing project of making life not just bearable, but beautiful. So as you drift toward sleep tonight, perhaps you might carry with you this thought: tomorrow, you'll have countless opportunities to laugh, to share laughter, to create those moments of connection that make us most fully human. Maybe it'll be a silly joke with a colleague that breaks the tension of a stressful day. Maybe it'll be a shared moment of absurdity with a stranger in line at the coffee shop. Maybe it'll be a gentle laugh at yourself when you do something perfectly, humanly imperfect, like looking for your glasses while wearing them, or walking into a room and forgetting why you're there. Each of those moments matters. Each laugh is a small victory over isolation, over despair, over the forces that would divide us. Each shared moment of mirth is a thread in the great tapestry of human connection, a note in the ongoing symphony of joy. In a world that often emphasizes our differences, laughter reminds us of our fundamental similarity. We're all creatures capable of finding delight in existence, of sharing that delight with others. Thank you for sharing this time with me, for bringing your curiosity and your presence to this exploration. Thank you for being part of this ancient human practice of gathering in the darkness to share stories, to learn together, to find comfort in knowledge and connection. Just as our ancestors gathered around fires to share the day's experiences, we've gathered in this digital space to explore one of humanity's greatest gifts. May your dreams be gentle and your sleep be deep. May you wake tomorrow ready to find and share the laughter that makes life not just bearable but beautiful. May you remember that your laughter, your unique expression of joy, is a gift to the world, a contribution to the great human project of finding light in darkness, connection in isolation, joy in the simple fact of being alive. And perhaps as you drift off to sleep, you might smile at the thought that somewhere in the world, at this very moment, someone is laughing. A baby is discovering that they can make their parents smile. Friends are dissolving into giggles over something that won't seem funny tomorrow. A couple is finding their way back to each other through shared mirth. Someone is watching a cat video and chuckling alone in their apartment, but not really alone, because they're connected to everyone else who's ever laughed at a cat doing something ridiculous. We're all part of this great chain of laughter that stretches back to the beginning of consciousness and forward to futures we can't imagine. Every laugh is a link in that chain, a moment where we affirm that despite everything, despite pain and loss and uncertainty, and the vast indifference of the universe, joy is possible, connection is real, and being alive is a gift worth celebrating. Good night, dear friend. Sleep well, and may laughter find you in all your waking hours, bringing with it the connection, healing, and joy that are your birthright as a human being. Sweet dreams, and may they be filled with gentle laughter.